about resources like air, like seawater, like forests. These are of such vital importance to everybody that nobody can be excluded from it. So as a result of which, we can't put them in private ownership. They are held in trusteeship by the government. So that is the first principle that governs anything like water. The second principle is the doctrine of riparian rights. Now, riparian rights, again, there are two things. One is your natural flow, that do you own the land on which the river flows through or the water body flows through, then you naturally have a right over it. The second right is the right of reasonable use. That is, if you're an adjacent owner, do you also have right over it? Now, Indian law gives rights to both the natural flow users as well as reasonable use, so both people are looked after. The third is the doctrine of prior appropriation, which means that as a first user, I have the right to use the water, but I must use it for beneficial use, and I must use it for the purpose that I am supposed to be using it for. So, for example, in a water scarcity, if I am allowed water for irrigation, I cannot then use it for washing, my car. And whatever's left over, the second users may also use it for appropriation. So these are the three doctrines that govern something like water, and this is the basic principle on which any kind of law or bill which governs water. Now, in India, when we are talking about water, unfortunately, water fortunately, I would say, falls as a state subject, and that's entry 17 on list 2. Now, I say fortunately because water is something that every state wants to have control over, obviously. So it is fortunate in that way, and it's MP 17 on the state list. So water supplies, irrigation and canals, drainage and embankments, water power, all on the state list. However, it is subject to the provisions of entry 56 on list 1, which is on the federal list. Now, the union list deals with the regulation and development of interstate rivers and waterways, to the extent to which regulation and development under the control of the union is declared by Parliament by law to be expedient in the public interest. Now, in this case, this particular bill that you brought in is taking away the power of the state government to manage dam safety for dams which have even been constructed by its own resources and which don't have an interstate ramification. So in this case, the provision of 56 list 1 doesn't apply. The basic problem with this bill that we have is that it is infringing upon the federal structure and upon the power of the states. If you want to bring in something for safety, as a central government, you have a right to talk about safety and something which affects the safety of all people. But to do that in consultation, it should not be a directive. Everything that this government does is in the nature of a mandamus, is in the nature of a directive. We are saying that please consult the states, do something which does not infringe on the federal structure of the Constitution. This bill seeks to do exactly that. This bill is completely silent on the devolution of funds from the center to the states to carry out the various measures for dam safety. So in the last 5 years, for example, in West Bengal, we have spent 243 crores on dam safety, which is still ongoing. This bill is silent. You tell us that you are saving. If I look at the financial memorandum of this bill, this tells me that you are spending 70 plus 33 plus 47 crores to set up these authorities and to set up the structure. You're completely silent on what the flow of funds is going to be to look after dam safety. So from what I understand is that we look after everything, we pay for everything, but you tell us how to do it. That doesn't seem very fair. Now, if we go through this bill chapter by chapter, the first and a few of the speakers before me have touched upon these very same points. We're talking about the National Committee of Dam Safety. You've set up a 21-member committee. You've got the chairperson, and then you have 10 people which are nominated by the central government, 10 people from the central government, 7 people from the states who are also nominated by the central government, and 3 experts also nominated by the central government. So you have a body of 21 people where essentially all 21 are nominated by the central government. How do you have a body where you have 10 members from the center and only 7 from the states when the states are where the dams are physically located? And even this is rotated every 3 years. Every single state in which a dam exists, a large dam exists, should have representation on this, and the state should have full freedom to nominate to the committee. Here you're saying that I will not only give you, I will give you only minority, I will not give you majority members, but I will also not let you choose who you send, I will choose who you send. So basically you can write roughshod over everything. All the decisions that you pass will be only central government decisions. There is no question of any state having any say on the national committee. So that's something something very wrong. Chapter 2, clause 5. Then we come to the National Dam Safety Authority that you are setting up. The National Dam Safety Authority is going to be the single body that you say is going to look after the dam safety of all of India. In which case you are putting somebody on the rank of additional secretary. That's it. Is that what you think is the level of competence required for a body of this nature? That is something which is absolutely stark. The third thing that you are setting up is the State Committee on Dam Safety. Here again, Chapter 4, Clause 11. You are telling us exactly, you are saying by name you are calling it a state committee, but the choice of constitution of the state committee you are laying out in the bill. So the state, you are telling the state who I can put on it, who its members should be, you are spelling out. What the timing should be, 180 days, you are spelling out. How long will it be? 3 years, you are putting down. So sir, you are inviting yourself home to my house for dinner. You are telling me who I should invite. And you are also telling me I can only serve dhokla and chas. You're setting the menu also. That's a little unfair. So if you're setting up a state committee, please leave it to the states to see what can be put there. Otherwise, you're infringing completely on the states. There's no question of a federal structure left anymore. Then you mentioned, then you go into the, let's look at the other provisions. The union government will take under its control the regulation of uniform dam safety. Again, there is no question of funding. You don't tell us what is the, you say you will exercise control, you will give directions, but you will not take any financial responsibility. Now, this is not fair. When we go into the State Dam Safety Organization, which is in Chapter 4, Section 14, West Bengal already has a state dam safety organization which was set up in the year 2006 under the Irrigation and Waterways Department. So it performs very similar functions to what you've laid out in 16 to 20 of the bill. So you should have a proviso here which says that states which already have a state dam safety organization, there should be an exception for those states. It should only be for those states that do not have a state dam safety organization as of the date of commencement of this bill. Because if you already have one, are we going to put that body aside? Are you going to set up a new body to override our existing body? The bill is again silent on that. From what it seems that the existing West Bengal body is going to become defunct as of the commencement of this bill, and that you will put something on our heads. That is not acceptable. When you go to Section 41, you deal with the punishment for obstruction and the obstruction of duty. And it's a very draconian section. It says whoever obstructs any employee of the National Committee or the State Committee, which by the way you have nominated, you can be punishable by up to 1 year in prison. Now that seems a bit much, because sometimes since you have control of everything, now you can have some non-implementable directives which are given, which may not be in the interest of the state. So if a state government official goes and says, I don't think that this is right for that local authority to do it right now, you can tell them to go for prison. Yes, sir, let me finish. Now, when you set up the National Dam Safety Authority, subsection 3, section 9, you say every decision of the said authority is final and binding. So you've given yourself supreme power. This should be supportive, it shouldn't be directive. I mean, please substitute giving directive by giving advice. Give us the right to accept it. Give us the right to reject it. Make it consultative. You bring in a bill without consulting the states. You are setting up committees where we don't have representation, which is only full of your nominees. We understand that you care about the safety of the country, but the states do care about the safety of the dams which are located on their territory. You cannot take away what the Constitution gives us. Now, when you're looking at, I'll just finish. When we're coming to the conflict of interest, this has already been touched upon by speakers previously. You've got the chair of the Central Water Commission, who's the ex officio chairperson of the National Committee on Dam Safety. But so this is a regulatory body, he's the chairperson, but the CWC is also involved in policy making. So you have the same person who's making policy, who's guiding design, who's doing the financing, who's also doing the regulation. This is a basic conflict of interest. So in the light of all these objections, I mean, look, in this world, jiski lati uski bhains. You've got 303, you can do anything. That's not the point, right? You can put the 303 everywhere. That's not the point. The point is we're speaking from the states. Please do not continue to bring in pieces of legislation that ride roughshod over the right of the states. You're doing this with everything. I really hold the minister in great esteem, and I really hope that for once you will rise above the directives of wherever this is and try and see where we are coming from and withdraw this bill, take it back, and let us incorporate the changes that us and other members of the opposition are bringing back. We are all interested in dam safety. These are dams that that are on our territory. We have to have a say about them.
Thank you.
And we hope you will do that. Thank you so much.
Please watch Tulasi News.
Please subscribe to Tulasi News.